what's up? It's Kev with Atmosphere FC, and in today's video, I'll be interviewing Gotham FC NWSL baller Grace Cutler. In this video, we'll be discussing her journey through the American system, her college process, her time spent in Italy, and her time in the NWSL. How you feeling? How are your spirits these days?
What's happening? I feel good. I'm happy to be here with you.
Man, no, thank you. Before I even welcome you, I want to thank you because this is monumental for my platform, for me as a soccer fan. I knew that I wanted to cover women's soccer, and I can tell you, I can confidently talk about any league in the soccer world, international, any team. I can defend myself and I can go back and forth. What I'm not confident to talk about is women's soccer. I'm not really familiar with the process. I know the league is new, so I always, in my mind, I knew I was going to cover women's soccer. I just didn't know where I was how and where I was going to start. So the few episodes I've been recording have been from, my soccer networks, and it's guys from SoCal that I grew up playing with, guys that played in the pros, guys I've gone to college with. And I would send these videos out to my close group of friends. My sister's opinion means a lot to me. My sister played soccer. She's 25. I'm super proud of my sister. She's a lawyer, boss. So she, her opinions matters to me. So she kept asking me, bro, when are you going to do girls content? I like men's soccer, but she's like, I don't have time to follow men's soccer. Where's the women content at? And I was like, dang, I got to take this from the back burner. I know I was going to get to it, but I got to make this a priority. So, but then I didn't know how. I send out 10 texts, reached out. My soccer network is great as far as men. And, I grew up in the American system. So my spider web is crazy. And this is what I love about the soccer world, bro. It's so global, so international, yet it's so glued together, yet it's so small.
It's so small.
So small. So I reach out to 10 people. No one gives me a direct answer. No one gives me a number pretty much. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I go take it upon myself to go to the NWSL. Someone had tagged me in your teammate Sabrina's interview that she did with Futbolito. And she was talking about the stuff that I was kind of want to cover on this podcast. So I was like, man, this girl is perfect. So I followed her. And then I go to the NWSL page, and I love the marketing. I feel like the social media for the NWSL is on point, because for me as a fan, I love that you guys, they show the outfits, they show the game time, they show, kind of behind the scenes. So I'm scrolling through this page, and I I see the outfits, right? I see a picture of you and your teammates just killing it. I see you, bright red hair, tattoos. I'm like, yes, this girl would be perfect. I follow you. And again, I think I record an interview, and then I hit up my boy Charlie Rugg, legend, Boston College, Galaxy, Rosendale. He's one of my closest friends. And I hit him up originally to get me to plug me with one of the Galaxy guys. So I'm like, all right, cool. I go up, I kind of go with my day. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot and just ask Charlie. He maybe know somebody. And I send him a text, and I'm like, bro, do you know anyone that would want to come on the podcast that plays pro in the NWSL? And he's like, bro, it's fate. He's like, I got you. I got the perfect girl. And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. And then we're texting, and then it goes to DM. He sends me the same picture. I saw you and I followed you. And I'm like, bro, redhead question mark. And he's like, yeah, bro, this girl is amazing, baller. And here we are, bro. So I believe in full circle moments, and I think this is one of them. So again, thank you and welcome for being here.
Hell yeah, I'm stoked.
Man, so I know I did a lot of talking, but I had to do, some background, and yeah, let's dive into it. So you're from Fort Collins, Colorado. Tell us a little bit about how you started to play soccer. Did your parents play soccer?
So I grew up in a more dancing competitive family. My brother is a professional dancer. My sister danced competitively. My mom's a dancer. So I was the only raw athlete that was mad fucking competitive and shit.
Mm-hmm.
but I knew from like 3 years old, I was like, I'm gonna be a pro soccer player. Like I said that shit from day one, and like I knew it in my bones. And I wasn't even on like the top teams. Like our first year going competitive, I was on like the third worst of 4 teams, so like 3 tiers down. And I
Yeah.
still
You were like on the D team?
yeah, I was on the C team. I was like, but I was still talking my shit. I was like, I'm gonna be a pro, like because I knew it, and I knew like none of the other girls felt the way I did about the game and like how passionate I was. So I knew it's just a matter of time. And everyone was like, "This bitch is crazy, like shut up." But I like came through that, glowed up a little bit in the sport going into high school, and then it was like a different story from there. But yeah, I always loved the game, and like that's what still fosters my play, is just like my joy of like being on the ball for real.
That's crazy. One, you can hear it in your voice that you're hungry, and that for me to hear that you knew at 3 years old is dope, man. Because I remember, now that I think back, like I didn't think I could be a soccer player until I was like 15 or 12. So the fact that you knew right away, and
Yeah,
that's amazing. The fact that it actually happened shows you that if you think about it and you put it out in the universe, bro, it's bound to happen. Definitely, you got to put in the work, but man, congrats.
thank you. It's crazy because there's so many points in my career, and I felt this a lot in college because I had a super bad back injury, and like there's all these points where I'm like, how the hell am I going to get from like where I am to like this big goal I have in my career? Like being on the C team, like how the fuck am I going to be like a C team 12-year-old to like being at a top 10 college in a national championship? And I did. But like there's those moments where like your reality doesn't reflect your greatness or like what you see for yourself, your potential, but like you can feel it. Like I feel like we all feel this thing from things we're passionate about. Like you feel that potential within
Yeah.
you. Like that's something that I continue to like choose to like create my own reality when things aren't showing me like, hey, you're killing it, you're great. Like if things aren't showing me that, I'm like, how am I going to get to like that next like national team? That's like the next thing that I'm like, how the hell am I going to get to the national team? I have no idea. But like I know I'm going to get there, and it's another one of those things that I just have to like continue to foster like the play and like just allow it to unfold, even in moments like now where I'm like, I have no idea how it's going to get from this point to that point.
Great point. And I feel like clearly you've been successful at every level, and you're continuing, hopefully, to get onto the national team. I'm a firm believer in the universe and full circle. So I love to hear it out loud and tell it to people. So man, this is going to be on a global YouTube stage, hopefully. So it's going to happen. And to let me point out that, yeah, what you said is correct. Till you're a professional, until this day, you don't have a direct blueprint or direct pipeline on how you're going to get to those goals you want to accomplish. So my goal for this platform is to clearly, one, give you your flowers for being a professional, show you that you're a baller and that there's people out there supporting you, but also to inspire and to kind of give guidance and just share information with the up and coming players, for those parents who are lost. I feel like a lot of players in the American system after college, I think both for men and women, don't really, if we don't get drafted, we don't really know what to do next. Do we hang it up? You play club soccer in Colorado. Was high school soccer a big part of your career, like recruiting career?
Not recruiting, like high school soccer, in my opinion, and I can only speak from my own experiences, was like a little bit of a joke. Like I would score like 7 goals in a game. Like that's ridiculous,
Yeah.
Like, and so it was fun. Like it boosted my confidence, but it didn't really, like college coaches weren't coming to my high school games, and I really feel like it was more from club that like I got recruited.
Okay. When did your recruitment process start? Like what year?
So it was later. Like I know the kids now, because when I was at West Virginia, like they were talking to freshmen and low-key like 8th graders sometimes. So like that 8th graders were like on their radar, which blows my effing mind, because I wasn't even that good at soccer till like freshman and sophomore year high school. So I wouldn't even be getting recruited like as highly as I did when I was like younger. But my junior year I committed to Santa Clara, and my recruitment process was different because I played in Fort Collins, which is a small town. And at the time, ECNL was like the big, like how you get recruited pretty much. And I didn't go to an ECNL team till I was 15, 16. And then I got like some recruiting from there, but I actually just went to the Santa Clara college camp and like scored mad goals, like just talk my shit, honestly. And at the end of the camp, Jerry, the head coach, was like, hey, do you like pretty much want a full contract, like a full ride here? And I was like, yeah, like fuck yeah, that's why I came out here. So that was how I actually came into like going to Santa Clara first. But my recruiting process, I feel like, was delayed because I went to like ECNL late. And so most of the girls were like committed by the time I was even like on the team, and I was just beginning that process.
I have a brother that's 16, and he recently sent me a text and said, "Hey, do you have any college coaches emails?" And I'm like, "What's up? What do you want to do?" Because in my head, I put it to him, bro, let's go pro. Like, I believe I played college soccer, and I think it's a good level, and we'll dive deeper into that. But I wish somebody would have told what I'm telling my brother now. Like, hey, you know, I think I have enough information to, if my brother doesn't sign a pro contract by 20, we can still have eligibility and play, you know? So it's interesting because you also asked me, hey, do you think we should go to these camps? And that's something I'm willing to do for him to get exposures. Clearly it worked for you. So
I don't know how like usual that is though, because I do know a lot of these camps are like more money grabs than they are actual opportunities. But like I scored 11 goals in like a game. Like I really shit. Like it was so aggressively, like, you know, like I'm fucking here, you know what I'm saying? That I think that's why he was like really taken back. But from like being at West Virginia and working those camps, we never like offered people from those camps, you know?
That was why I asked, because I worked the BC soccer camps, and if someone did go that ended up on the team, was just because Ed or our coach wanted to just see him for the few days, you know, and because he was a local kid. But it's also, I feel like, why not? You know, if you have the means and you have the access to do it, I think that you may not be as lucky as you, but you may be able to get on the coach's radar. Because let's dive into the college soccer a bit, because I think that I believe in the college system. I think it's a good level for both men and women. I think so. If you put everything outside, as far as like classes, as far as like outside of the field stuff, I think the level is sharp. I think it's athletic. I think it's fast. I think anyone can pull up on a day and be organized and go direct. You know, I think it has evolved from the kickball. It's very athletic. It's very fast.
It is evolving.
And I feel like, you know, but obviously it's only 3 months. The season's 3 months. It's brutal on the body. It's brutal on your mental state. So I feel like if it was reformed, it could be part of the American culture. It could work, you know, to keep a magnifying glass and actually recruit from these colleges, because you see March Madness. You see how crazy they go for March Madness and the football, NCAA football. So soccer is just as big. I feel like there's a market for amateur sports. So if the college system was reformed and more catered to the player and more professional, it could work, you know, and it could be an option for those players that don't want to go pro, that want to get their degree, that want to be, you know, like I said, like I'm not opposed to the college system, but I just don't think it should be our number one priority. Our number one priority should be try and get kids to the pros.
I feel that. And that's like more of like a European mindset, you know? Like I think that's why, especially on the men's side, like you guys are a bit more behind, because we're having to class and like focus on getting a whole ass degree, while like these kids in Europe are like just playing soccer all the fucking time and like getting great, you know, and like having hands-on work from like such young ages. So I do feel that. I agree with that.
How was the level for you at Santa Clara, West Coast school? You guys played UCLA, UCSB?
We were in the WCC, West Coast Conference.
Okay. I feel like West Coast teams have a different style there. I feel like
technical.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of local talent that goes to Santa Clara, to the UCSB, the UCLAs, comes from Southern California, and soccer is huge there. I feel like the talent pools in men's. So how was the level of play, the system, as far as like, I feel like you are a more athletic, more direct player. Yeah. How did your game get affected, you know, when you had to go play for Santa Clara, a more technical team?
So I graduated early. I graduated like a semester early from high school to like go have that spring semester, because I was like, I want to be the starting center forward on this team, like my freshman year. Yeah. So like I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna be completely with the pace, like get my body right so I could ball out my freshman semester. I overtrained so bad. Like I was doing like 7 to 8 hour days of just like straight up soccer, like outside of practice. And I blew out my back. Like it was a terrible experience. So my whole freshman season, I ended up playing injured. So it's completely different than like it would
Oh,
have.
wow.
I had to get like steroid shots every Tuesday, not practice the week, try to play Friday, try to play Sunday, do the same thing the next week. So my like freshman experience sucked because I was injured.
Yeah.
But that spring semester was one of the best times of my life because I overtrained. But like before my back got blown out, and I remember my coach saying this, he's like, I have never seen a player get as good as you're getting this fast. Like all of a sudden, I was in an environment with all these resources, and like the men's coaches would train me. I was allowed to train with the men extra. I trained on my own extra. And like where our training pitch is, my coach had like an office where he could look over the pitch. So even though you're in like NCAA, they have all these dumbass rules about how many, he could like look from his office and text me things like, hey, like this shot, work on this, like you're doing this part wrong. So I was just like soaking it up. Like I was so stoked. I was like, I'm about to be the best freshman this year, like in all of NCAA. Did not know how to manage my body, workload, anything. So it ended up biting me in the ass. But before I got injured, like that time was so sick because when I had actually been to the Santa Clara camp and like my coach was like an NAIA coach who was like my team's like coach when we play games. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, you're a good player, but like, you're not technical enough for Santa Clara. Like they won't offer you. I was like, this guy, the fuck? And like, I did have to get way better at my technicals being there. Like there were so many things being a center forward, like hold up play. I was fucking terrible at it when I got there. Cause in club, like you just gotta be more athletic, bigger, stronger, want it more. Like when I would shoot in club, like I wouldn't even have to direct the ball in the goal, honestly. Like you could just shoot that shit on the net and that's a goal. Like I had like 30 goals, you know, like that's insane. And then I got to college and I'm like, man, like I had to be precise in everything. But until I got injured, it was like one of the best times of my life. Obviously the injury like kind of changed my path with Santa Clara and like just college, my whole college experience. But
crazy. Two things. Crazy. You blew out your back before freshman. But look, two things about that. One, that's things, the information of how to take care of your body, how to train, that information is not out there. So for you, for a very, you know, eager player, I want to get better, you just, all you can do is just run yourself to the ground, which might be, you know, not the most productive thing. So our development, the youth development that these clubs offer, where is it at, you know? And another thing is, it also shows you that how short the season is, because you're coming out of injury, but you want to play so bad that you risk your body, you risk pretty much your career just to shine in those 3 months. And that's terrible for your development, anyone's development, you know?
Yeah. If I redid freshman year, I would redshirt. Like I was so fucking eager to be that bitch that like I wasn't gonna redshirt. You know, I didn't have like the calmness of myself to like allow a redshirt year. But looking back, I really regretted it because like I said, not compared to other people, but like for me, I had 6 goals. I was like second in points with assists, but like I knew I could have been massive and I wasn't. And like that was so fucking disappointing for me because I wanted it so bad and I had done all the work, but like half of my work was working against myself in the end. So it was a very eye-opening experience.
Did that play a big role in you transferring to West Virginia?
Yeah, I mean, there was more than that, but that was definitely part of it for sure. I think I probably would have stayed my 4 years, like, because I probably would have had a sick freshman season that I was working with, and that I like the things that were bothering me wouldn't have been big enough if I hadn't been injured, you know?
I hear you. Yeah, man. It's dope that a back injury is serious. You know, you could have called it a day, but a red shirt would have been a smart idea. But the fact that you wanted to play shows you how, your hunger. I feel like I've only had a few conversations with you, but I love it. I love the hunger that you still want it. You're so young. You're still not even in your prime yet, you know? So yeah, keep at it. And so you transferred, and I transferred to West Virginia. I wish I would have transferred out of BC. It's the you know, a lot of these programs sometimes, you know, don't end up being the right program for you. You know, sometimes you may be a good player, but you may not fit the system. The coach may not like you, you know, so a lot of things go into actually finding the right fit. I wish I would have had more information about the transferring process, because like I said, like I stuck 4 years at BC, very unhappy. I had a sick freshman year. I'm confident that I was top 3 best players in my team every 3 years. I mean, every year that I was there, but my coach I never fit his system. He wanted to be more direct. I want the ball at my feet. So, for anyone listening out there, it's not bad to second guess whether, you're happy at a place. If you, let's say, end up at a powerhouse and you're not getting maybe you're not playing a lot of minutes, or you clash with the coach. I think that it's the best idea, if you're not 100% happy, is to actually make that decision of let's transfer. Because I feel like I did freshman year, I did well in second year, and then I was like, should I transfer? And I'm like, bro, I'm halfway done with college. It doesn't make sense. Can we talk a little bit about your transfer process and how difficult it was to, change from coast to coast?
Yeah, it was super difficult. No one expected me to transfer because like I played a lot as a freshman, and like most of the time people transfer because they're not playing. So like the team was like, what the fuck? Like all my teammates were super mad, and that part was really hard. But like the day that my name got in the portal, I was so fortunate that like all these top 20 schools were like, hey yo, like what's up, Scotty? Like let's talk about it. So I was so relieved at that moment, because my transferring, like I had infinite options of like bomb programs to go to. To be fair, I don't think West Virginia was a better fit for me, and like that is what it is. And like I think there's like divine timing to like things in our life, so I see how it served me, but it didn't like fit my personality.
I hear you.
I didn't feel like truly happy there. But in my career, like I see how both my year at Santa Clara and my 3 years at West Virginia has like formed me into more of like a better player. But yeah, transferring is hard. I think what's hard about the recruiting process, and I always say this to young players, like girls and guys who are just beginning to talk to coaches, like they're going to sell you a dream. So they're going to make everything pretty and perfect. The facilities, and like young kids, I don't know why they're so distracted by the facilities. I'm like, you need a football and a good coach. That's all you need. Like you don't need like a TV in your locker room. Like that's not going to make you a player. Like you need to figure out if your coach likes your style of play, if he's going to elevate you, and like if you can grow in this program, and if like the personality of the girls there will gel with you, And so I think like the recruiting process has all these like shiny things, and are you sponsored by Nike or Adidas? And like,
bro.
And I'm like, this is hilarious. So within my own recruiting process, even when I was transferring, even being aware of that, like I still wasn't able to find my right fit. So I don't think it's that easy. But I think like in the recruiting process, coaches sell you a dream, especially like players probably like you and I who like had some clout from high school. They're like, hey, like you can just be the star, and like fun, it'll be easy, we'll be best friends the whole time. And then you get to college, and like it's fucking hard. Like you have to be good at school, like you have to be accountable, you have to do all these things, like you're an adult, because I was there at 17, so all of a sudden I'm like a full force adult at 17. Plus like having to perform, and like all these things, drinking all of a sudden, like all these new and like we aren't given, especially in the mental health side, like anything. They'll be like, oh well, we have a nutritionist and like a sports psych. That's not enough. Like people aren't seeking out therapy. Most people don't feel comfortable seeking out therapy. So like all of a sudden you're in a completely new environment, expected to perform. Oh, my phone's dying. I'm gonna switch my iPad. But you're in a new environment, expected to perform, and like your mental health is just like expected to know what to do, And I think like that's such a massive issue with like what they say in the recruiting process, like compared to like the reality of a college experience.
Let me add to that, and facts all the way through. The fact that you say selling you a dream, I find that hilarious, because I use that with everything. And they sell you a dream. On the men's side, they sell you a dream. So I wanted to hear from, if it was the same on the women's side. And it sounds like it is. And yes, a lot of these coaches will throw the big facility, the Nike this, the Nike that. But what a lot of people have to realize is that coaches have a job. The way they keep their job is by winning, and they win by, bringing together not even a group of kids, just a number of kids, and putting a system together, and not developing that system. So they'll rather teach you a pattern play direct or do this than actually develop the talent, because again, it's not their fault. It's the way the system and the college system is that, because
I don't know. I feel like it's partly their fault. I hear you, but
I hear no, but yeah, no, 100%. Look, I college coaches are whack. 50% of them are old, and half of them don't really run their practice. So maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but at the end of the day, they have to keep their job. So winning is number one, right? So the player that doesn't fit the system, that was highly recruited, that, you know, has the potential, he ain't shit. As long as that, you know, I find the players that are gonna do what they want me to do. And I feel like that people have to know that, because that stunts the growth of any player. And you got to remember that from 17 to 20, those are your most important developmental years. So it sounds like, you know, it's tough on the women's side too, as far as like finding the right fit. And also, I got in trouble at BC, and the only time I got therapy was when I got in trouble. That was my punishment. That I did something, and I got in trouble for not snitching, bro. Someone did something, I was there, I was like, I don't know. And my punishment, I got kicked out of housing, and they put me in therapy. And that was honestly them putting me where the therapist changed my life. That's to make Jesse Harmon, if he's listening out there, change my life. That's the reason why I graduated Boston College, because this guy, African-American, he's like, hey, bro, you don't look like those people out there. Like, I got you. And he saw that I wasn't a bad kid, but he's like, yo, let me give you some guidance. And that's so important, bro. And like the colleges don't do that. So the fact that you bring that up, you know, it needs more awareness for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that he did that for you. It's also hilarious to me that your like punishment is therapy.
It was the greatest. It was the greatest thing ever, man. Like, but it goes to show you how out of touch everything is in the college system, you know, and
I felt like we're used in the college system, because I like have infinite work ethic. Like I will always grind, and like I feel like they used me for like my strengths. It didn't help elevate. Like my technicals were so not good enough going to my rookie year, and it was like extremely obvious right away for me. And like I had to have so much more time to work on that when I could have been working on that in college, because I have the work ethic. I just need a coach to be like, hey, Grace, like this is your weakness. Let's get this right, because you want to be the best in the world one day. Yeah. That's not even close to being the best in the world. Let's get it right. But like my college experience, like I was really good in a few areas, and they just like completely defined me to those areas. And like I felt like such a fucking role player. And for someone like me who wants to be the best, like being a role player is like the death of me. Like it fucking sucks. Like I don't want to be a role player. Like I want to be why people are coming into the stands, like being entertained. Like I don't want to be the one to like just switch the field, keep the ball, make it pretty. And like, because I was like humble and I didn't know how to like take space then and like talk my shit of what I felt, like I fell into that box. And then when I got pro, like I had to stumble and stumble and stumble. And like there were many times where I'm like, do I want to keep playing soccer? Because like there was so much more for me to go that I could have been working on if I had someone that was like, I see you, you have like the intangibles, let's make it right. That I feel like used from my college experience and like being put into a box rather than like elevating me. Just like what you're saying, they fit me into their system when like I don't even think they had me in the right position. Like I think they should have been playing me in a completely different position and like pushing me outside my comfort zone, not like defining me into my comfort zone and telling me to like only play within those walls, you know?
Amen, bro. You're preaching. You dropping that shit. Look, one, because that was my next question about role players. When people think about role players, they think, oh, that's such a cool thing to do. You can play anywhere on the field. We're different ages. You know, I feel like I don't know you much. I haven't seen you. I've seen your highlight tapes, but I feel like our games are similar. Just as far as like I was the ultimate role player, always at BC. I played every single position except goalie at BC, and that was the death of me. Like you said, like that was the death of my career. I didn't develop good at one thing. Like I was an attacking minded player. I should have been playing my games as a forward, because the season's so short. Someone gets injured, I'm that role player that, you know, can fit anywhere. Let's put this guy as center back. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to play center back. That's like bro, it's disrespectful to no disrespect to the center backs. It's a beautiful position, but to my game, that was disrespectful. Like, you're wasting me. I'm a top 10 recruit. How am I supposed to get better? So the fact that you went in on the role players, people have to know, like parents have to know, players have to know, is that don't take role player as a compliment. You have to, yes, it's good to be a complete player, but not to be a role player. It's two different things, you know. I feel like the college system, again, is a system. It is not development. So everything you touched on, I agree. And it makes it so hard for the players to be confident in one position. Like I there was times where after playing center back, I got put right mid. I'm like, I don't know if I should go up. I don't have the same confidence to take people on, you know? So it really fucks with your game mentally. And again, it's only 3 months. So let's say you go to West Virginia, you'll say not the best years, but solid years to get you playing at the next level. Yeah. I have a few questions about that. Cool. Because your league, for those who don't know, the NWSL is only 8 years old, right? So super young league. What were your plans like senior year? Did you know you wanted to go abroad? Did you want to?
I actually wanted to stay in the NWSL. So I graduated college like a semester early, just how I came in a semester early, which I was planned because the draft's in early January for the women. Put my name in the draft. 36 women got drafted that year. I was 22, went to Houston, and I mean, started like I was saying.
Bro, hold on, bro, because you skipped that like that. That's nothing. Like let's talk about the draft.
All right.
And wait. So you were 24 out of 36, because there's a draft for the MLS, the men's league, and I feel like that the draft, at least for the men's league, is worthless because people get drafted, they're not guaranteed a contract, and it's okay. So it's tough, you know. So I feel like it's more for show, more to be like the NBA, more to be like the NFL. So yeah, I wanted to ask you, is the draft necessary for the women's league?
I think it's necessary because it's like a professional league. So even if it's mostly for looks, I like that it's like going towards being more like an NBA vibe, you know? Because like the NBA is iconic. So like if we want to become iconic, there are certain things about the NBA like we should take. So I do like the idea of the draft. Just what you're saying, like I didn't have a contract. Like I think maybe there's like 3 girls each year that like actually go into camp with a contract. So you're pretty much just like, is an invite to preseason. Most coaches, I will say, like to sign their drafted players. So it's like you are favored, but it doesn't mean like anything in terms of like you're going to be playing that year or you'll for sure have a contract.
You get drafted to Houston Dash.
Yeah.
How was that? Tell us about the experience. You're a pro now. Your life, your dream, you made it. How did you feel? How proud was your family, bro?
Yeah, draft day was sick. So like I had a lot of victim stories around my career. Like I started on the C team and I've had a lot of experiences of like feeling a little bit behind and like being drafted when, you know, over 200, 300 girls' names are in that draft, and like being 22 for me was like a moment in my career that I truly felt was like, I don't have to keep playing like the victim role in my own, like I can be that bitch and like I can accept that and like push it forward and stop feeling like, oh, like shit doesn't work out for me in my career, or it's harder for me, you know? So it was a beautiful moment of like letting go some of my like baggage from college and like before that. And it was like kind of a reset button, like, all right, I'm starting my pro career off dope. Like I just got fucking so that was like a really good moment for me, like mentally as well. I was stoked, like even training up to going to camp, like I was fucking stoked. I love football, so like I was just stoked to like not have to worry about finding a team, and like getting drafted just makes shit easier. Went into camp, had a good time. Break it down. Coach has really weird meeting with me, like super weird, like can just tell he's like not being honest with me. So I like asked him for another meeting the next day, and I was like, listen, like you can be 100% straight up with me. If you don't fuck with my game, like say that, but like I need to know where I stand. And he was like, pretty much like, we would contract you, but you're not going to play a single minute. And I was like, look. And now looking back, I understand why, but at the time, like he wanted me to play defensive mid and I'm an attacker. And he didn't want me attacking, like the way he plays defensive mids, he wants them really sitting. And he was like, I'm not about to go talk to like the people who pay me, like why I'm risking a rookie who like if you fuck up in the attack and then we lose, like, I'm not going to go tell my boss, like, I'm betting on you. And I understood that. Like, I wasn't actually offended by that. And I wasn't that technical yet. So, like, low key valid, you know?
Right.
Like, I think I would have made great plays, but I also would have probably had big mistakes. And that's what he could feel. So I'm not upset about that. Actually called Jerry, my head coach from Santa Clara, and was like, hey, like, what do I do? Because he's super knowledgeable about stuff like that. And I was like, do I take this? Like, do I stay? Do I go? And he was like, don't take a bad contract, like, leave. And like, help me make that decision. So I was like, all right. And then decided to leave from Houston. And then I can continue, or do you want to talk more about that?
No, hell yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, hell yeah. Yes. I was gonna ask you about level of play, but keep going if you want. Yeah.
Okay, so I went from Houston, was depressed, like, for real. Like, my mentals were so low, and I had got the oil ring called me a week later. This was when Blacko, who's now the national team coach, called me, or their GM called me. And then I talked to Blacko, and they were like, hey, like, we want to bring you in. Like, we saw you for the draft, like, you're dope, we want to bring you in. I was so not mentally okay. And there was like this massive feeling in my gut. It was like, don't fucking go, Grace. Like, and if you can tell from like how hype I am about football, like, that's the first time in my career, like, I said no. But like, I wasn't okay, and I could feel that. And like, I'm usually like pretty optimistic and like ready to go. So like, when I was so not ready, it was like so clear to me. So I said no, which I'm like thanking God for now, because Blacko's the head coach of the national team. And like, I was not that bitch back then, soccer wise. So like, if that was impression of me as a player, I'm like, woof, like, dodged a bullet there, you know? Like, I'm hyped that whenever he gets to see me, it's from like this space of my playing now, rather than me as a trying to figure shit out. But yeah, so I said no. And like, my parents were supporting me, but everyone was like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? But like, I wasn't okay, and I knew it. And then 2 months passed. I signed an NTR, which is the national team replacement contract, short-term contracts, a month long, for the Spirit. Played in the Spirit, and then signed to Italy right after that, and went to Italy.
Before we talk about you going to Italy, I wanted to ask you a few questions about, that time you spent here in the NWSL. So very young league, very promising league. I think it's going to be a super league. I think it's going to grow just as fast as the MLS. The MLS started with 10 teams, now it's at 26. I feel like the marketing for not just women's sports, but like for American sports is there, because if you look who follows this league is like younger. I feel like more of our generation. It's like soccer has become a hipster sport, a cool sport. People want to support Liverpool, support blah, 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 but there's also that people that want to support American teams, that want to, get lit before the game and then support. It started with a group text inside joke, as far as like me and my friends, we were like, hey, we would say like, yo, what are we doing this weekend? And somebody would say like, let's get drunk and pretend the MLS is dope. And it turned into a lifestyle tool. Now we're 30 washed up and we love this shit, bro. So I see the NWSL growing just as fast. And it's crazy because women's soccer in the US is dominant. You guys are doing it right. So it's about fucking time they gave you guys a league, And before we talk about your experience in Italy, great decision on taking care of you. The fact that, yes, you're a rookie, but the fact that you're mature enough to say, hey, this opportunity is not for me, amazing, So that's dope. I feel like you're always confident of yourself, and even in your most vulnerable times, you still chose yourself. So that's dope. And, you got yourself right. And then, it ended up being probably a great decision. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You go to Italy to play with Sassuolo.
Yeah.
Calcio. Yeah. And how was that experience? How did that change you as a person, as a player? Was that a good decision? Was that a bad decision? Because as men, I feel like once you go to a foreign and then come back, your price goes up, your clout goes up. So I was wondering, is that the same with with women's soccer?
In terms of clout, it depends where you go. So like the Italian league, I only could have gone to Juventus for my clout to go up, like one team. If I go to France, maybe there's like 3 teams my clout would have gone up. It depends on the league. So it's a little bit different. I feel like my clout remained the same to be honest. But it was a great decision for me, like outside of clout and shit. Like,
how about for the coaching? Did the coaches give you more respect because you were a foreigner, you had that foreigner experience, or?
so my coaches spoke zero English. But me and my coach had like a super special relationship, and he's like really playful, and so am I. So we like could connect there. And that actually really, like, we call it, like, coaches you call Mister in Italy. Like, me and like, I fucking love him like with my whole heart. So that was a really like great time for me, because I really haven't had a ton of coaches that I felt like, oh my gosh, like this person like loves me and I love them. So that was a nice thing. Playing in Italy was fucking hard. Like, not the level of play, but like, Italy is really glamorous to travel to and to live in as a woman. It's like not. And I'm like all about being like empowered and like women on the rise. And it's just so far behind there compared to the US. Like, the US, we're like talking about it, you know?
Yeah.
But like in Italy, like we wouldn't be able to walk down certain hallways because the men were. And I'm like, who the fuck's telling us this? Like, you know, like I'm the type of, I'm like, I'm gonna walk down that motherfucking hallway. Like, it shit like that, and living in a culture every day that I'm like being put below men was really difficult for me. And like triggering, honestly.
Yeah, that's.
And I had like this whole 2-month time where they're like, you're fat. Like, and I'm like skinny bitch, like in the US league. Like, and they were like, you're fat. Like, you have a backpack of kilos on your back. Like, you're going to get fatigued. You're going to get injured. You're fat. Like, you need to eat less. And I was like, it was so hard on me, because I have had a lot of friends in sports that have body issues. I've never personally struggled with body issues. And it was the first time in my life where I completely like could be compassionate and understand, like, I wasn't having full like body issues, but like I could see what that felt like the root of it. And it was gnarly. Like, having people telling me I was fat all the time just because their culture sees like what a women's soccer player should look like differently was so hard on me. And it wasn't until like one day I finally went in. They had me meet with like the nutritionist every Tuesday, and they would like pinch all my fat. Like, literally, I'd have to take my shirt off. They would pinch my arms. They would pinch my stomach. They would pinch my legs. Like, they would pinch all my fat. And it wasn't until like a month and a half or 2 months into that I just like exploded one Tuesday. I was like, fuck this shit. Like, this society is why, because a lot of my teammates had eating disorders in Italy more than America. They're like toothpick thin, like Kendall Jenner thin. And I was like, this is why bitches aren't eating on our team. Like, it's men, you guys, who don't even understand what it's like to be in a woman's body, telling me that I'm fat, pinching my body every Tuesday. And I was like, I've never had body issues. And for the first time in my life, like, when I eat, I'm thinking about how my body's going to look afterwards. And I like kind of blew up on them a little bit. And after that, they were like, okay, we're not going to fuck with her about this. And then thankfully, like, they stopped doing, so the Tuesday thing, a lot of girls had to do that. They stopped doing that for everybody. Because like none of my teammates would eat dinner on Monday night or breakfast Tuesday morning, because we all get like our fat pinch, which is like fucking demoralizing.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that changed for everybody, which was dope. But like, living in a society as a woman who feels like very passionate about like women, you know, and like just being equal, like, and then living in a society where it's so extreme the other way, where like my teammates wouldn't even realize like, oh, that's weird. Like, we can't walk down that hallway, you know, like it didn't even cross their mind. They're like, okay, well, we have to walk all the way around this building outside in the snow because 3 men are in that hallway. I'm like trying to start a revolt. I'm like, yo, guys, like, you see the issue over here? Like, so it was triggering. And I think it was hard because I was naive going into it, because Italy's so glamorous, right? Like, you travel to Italy, it's a good fucking time. Like, you're gonna have good food. It's gonna be like sick views. Like, it's super glamorous. So I was expecting that lifestyle. And then to like kind of be thrown into like one of my biggest triggers was so freaking intense.
Also, you're so young. Like, you're still a rookie technically, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's my rookie year. I'm like 21 or 22. Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, man, I'm sorry you had to go through that. And I'm sorry Italian women have to go through that, because again, we're totally different, so I don't, man, that's crazy to me. That's alarming, because I have sisters. I believe in equality and all of that, so that takes away from your game, like, so much. And I had issues like that in the college system, where again, who are these dudes, old men, telling us about our bodies? Like,
I know.
It doesn't make sense, you know, you look at soccer players, bro, there's no soccer players come in all sizes, and the fact that they want to drop kilos and do all that is just like unnecessary. It takes away from your game. It takes away from your confidence. Yeah, man, that's crazy that you share that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about the level of play though. How was it compared to the US?
Completely different. So like my rookie year, I remember like passing patterns, for example, like we're lying, like hitting everything hard, like pinging everything, like everything's like hard passes, right? I go to Italy and that's like all I've been working on, like pinging passes. I get there and like right away they're like, because we do all one touch, they're like pass way fucking slower. Like all my critiques I got like the first month there was like, don't pass so hard. So it was like kind of funny because something I trained so hard on was then like switched. But going there for me, even with what I just mentioned, like as a person and a player, was fucking dope. Like it was a super hard year, but like elevated me as a human, like helped me with my spirituality. And as a player, because I was so different, I was such a different flavor, I was really able to kill it in the league. Because I was offering something that no one else had. And it was good. It was really good for me. And I'm way better at like just being with the ball, honestly, from being there. Yeah. So I'm grateful I went, like given everything, because even those moments like with the weight stuff, like it doesn't matter what career you do or what you do, like you're always going to step into like massive adversity in points of life. Like within a year, you're going to have a few of those. And like those moments are the moments that I'm realizing, like, can I choose self-love? Like, and how long does it take me? Like there, it took me a month and a half to like choose self-love and be like, no, you know? And I feel like that's like what being a human is at the end of the day. So like, I'm not bitter at what happened because it elevated me as a human and like my sense of self, because you gain momentum. Like the more you can choose self-love and like choose your worth in these really hard situations that when you're in them, they feel super like closed in and you can't really like step out from that reality. But like you're able to still make like a self-loving decision. I don't know, it like uplifts you in your life and it allows you to feel less bitter even when these things aren't like what you would hope they would be in an ideal situation.
No, definitely. It sounds like you definitely were put out of your comfort zone. You know, I feel like
all the way out.
Yeah, so I feel like that's what some players need. You know, it doesn't matter how hard you train, how cookie cutter you are. If you're not being challenged as far as out of your comfort zone, I'm sure culture was a shock. I'm sure language was hard. So man, definitely. So you would definitely advise up and coming players, if it doesn't work out, to go abroad?
Oh, hell yeah. I think it's a fantastic experience. And like being in another country will like really teach you who you are, because when you're if you're in your own culture, like I have bright hair and I dress like swaggy, but it's mostly accepted in America, you know? Like I go out there like that and I was like alienated. They were like, who is this chick? Like people were intrigued. Some people liked it. Some people hated it. But like, I truly felt it was like, all right, am I going to be a sheep, or like, am I going to be who the fuck I am and not care that some of this culture thinks I'm like crazy? But it also like humbles you because you realize how much more like we live in this tiny little world, you know? And then all of a sudden I'm living in another country for 9 months and like all the drama of America feels irrelevant because I'm in a completely different immersed society with like all these other issues and like people and cultures and like values. And I think like player or person, that's such a sick fucking experience to have. And then as a player, in terms of just like level of play, like even if you don't go to a great league, and Italy was a good league, thankfully, but you're going to get offered something different. Like you aren't going to play American style soccer in any other country. Doesn't matter what league you're in. So as a player, like if you can make the most out of that and like be a sponge, like I would watch my teammates so much in practice, just what made them different from me, and bring that into my own game. So then when I come back to America, like I'm not just an American player anymore. And that's what I love about my game. I used to be that role player of like just the brute, big girl, win all the headers, smart tactically, play simple. But now I'm fucking great on the ball. So now I can be the brute and saucy. And like, you don't see a lot of people being like the brute and the saucy bitch. So like, I'm excited because these things have like formed me and pushed me to like train completely different routes and like be exposed to things that I wouldn't have been if I just stayed in the States.
Bro, sauce is forever. I love that. Sauce is forever. And I feel like as American players, you know, technically we're not there. And if technically we are, there's still not that spice or that sauce. So the fact that I hear that, you're in your prime having, the defending side and the sauce, I'm sure you're going to kill it, man. And let's dive into the NWSL. So after a year in Italy,
came back during quarantine. Was quarantined like a few months there. There was like a challenge cup in the NWSL. I didn't partake in that. So I was home for from May to January. And that's like, I took what I realized in Italy I didn't have, and I just like went off, technically speaking. Like I was dribbling for hours every day, and I had learned to like manage my loads. Like I wasn't doing too much, but like I really
you're not blowing your back out.
Yeah, no, not doing that again. But I really went for it. Like I started training really unconventionally, and like I'll put Brazilian music on or like Mexican style music on, and I'll just do it to a rhythm, because it started getting in my body. Like that ability to have like sauce isn't in America. We're taught this like manipulative, like be effective, be clear, be crisp, right? We're like this, like we're super stiff. But when if you can dribble on the beat to music, move forward, back, side to side, like everything's different. Your feeling space on the ball is so different. And so I did that for like all of those months, literally trained super unconventionally, had no idea if it was going to work. Ended up, I can tell you more about how I got there, but ended up at Gotham, and I was like one of the best dribblers. And like, I'd never been a good dribbler on the team. That was like always my criticism. And it was just because I like gotten rhythm, literally, because now in plays, like rather than having two plays where I know I can only go left or right, or like there's all these players around me, and usually I could only like play the one touch out quick, and I had to know that before I got it. I have infinite ways to go now. Like since I'm dancing on the ball now, like I can just manipulate it up a little bit. No defender's gonna pull out. Like it's so much more fun to like have created that within my own game. So those months were like epic for me. I didn't know they were gonna be this epic, but like when I got to Gotham, I was like, holy shit, like everything's different, which was sick. Getting to Gotham, I straight up went to their tryouts.
Before Gotham, bro, let me comment on that, because that's music to my ears. As far as like, I feel like Americans are so robotic sometimes. And if you look at the great footballers like Ronaldinho, they made you feel soccer. Like there was something that they did that Ronaldinho, just every time he had the ball, he made you feel like he was going to do something. So the fact that you're touching on that, and that you became technical, and let me point that out, that this didn't happen until 2020 COVID. So you were already 21. Like for those players listening, it's never too late. You're never too old to get technical or more technical.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't a great dribbler. I wasn't even a good dribbler for a pro level until this last year. Like literally. Man. And like my game's still changing. And that's what's so fun about right now is like who I'm going to be becoming right now is sick as fuck. Like this next 3 years of my career, like whether I get to the national team in this next 3 years or not, like I know I'm becoming, and like I can feel it in my bones. And there's all these like different styles I'm like accumulating, and I'm just like sponging it up. And there's going to be moments where like I get seen expressing that, and like that's going to be fun as shit. So I'm excited about it.
Bro, I'm excited to see you. Like you inspire me to go outside right now, man. Like I love that. Like I said, like I've only had a few conversations with you, but I feel that hunger, and it's dope that your confidence is there from so early, from your ups and downs. So you end up at Gotham FC. This is not no middle of the mall team. This ain't no amateur hour. This is New York's team. And talk to us about the experience. You said you were one of the best dribblers there. So you have sauce in New York now.
Right, you feel me? So it was humbling at first, because I was like, for sure, like I'm just getting into camp, right? Like I went into camp as a rookie, like I'm way better, I'll just get into camp. I didn't get any offers to go into camp. So like I had to go to tryouts. I had to fly my ass out to New Jersey in the winter, like January 3rd or something, and like go try out with like all these like, players who are great and some players who like really suck inside. And it was a little like, it was humbling, because I felt like I was so above the level of like having to go to a tryout, open tryout, which also sometimes like a money grab. But once I got over that, it took me like half a day or a day to be like, all right, I'm feeling humbled, you know what I'm saying? Like I went out there and I had a fucking blast, like because I'm a different player and I was just able to express. And I mean, it was much lower competition that I played against, so I was able to like super sauce out there, and got an offer to camp from that. Flew home, flew back out, and then went straight into camp. And it was a great experience. Like I'm stoked that I chose to go to tryouts, and you know, a lot has unfolded since then. I broke my foot, and like I've had trials, but like what I've been realizing within this is like we have this ideal version of like how a career is going to go, or like how a day is going to, or anything's going to go, and like my career has never gone the ideal version. But like that is being human, and like I used to be so offended by that, like, but I'm like was trying to force my career into like this small circle of a path that like I thought my path was, when I'm realizing like even when I talk about Italy, when my path is like changing and I don't understand it in a moment, but then like even a few weeks or months later, I'm like, holy shit, like that little thing, like that broken foot or those issues are like up leveling me, you know, in all these other ways. So I'm grateful to have that insight now, because I'm sure I'll just have like a bunch more fucking trials. But yeah, Gotham was dope. It was like, I love training at Gotham because our drills are sick as fuck. Like they're fun. And like, I don't know, you could probably relate to this. Going to practice when a coach has lame drills, you're just like, you're not stoked to be there. Like I'm stoked still because I want to get better, but it's like less fun. But going every day and knowing like the drills are going to push you and be fun, like it's so easy to feel stoked on life. And I really like felt that with my time at Gotham.
I hear you. Nah, man, that makes such a difference, you know, because it gets competitive. You know, yes, these people are your teammates, but we're gonna see who's better, you know. So
especially in the pro world, like we love each other at the end of the day, but like we all want to be the best like on the pitch. So that's a weird vibe, like that, knowing that like, oh, your best friend like kind of wants you to be injured or like do bad, you know, like
that's a reality though.
Yeah,
that's definitely a reality. Yeah, man. And let me you brought something up, that humbling experience. You got to remember, you're coming back as a pro from Italy and you have to try out. And the fact that, no, that was very important what you said, that you're never going to have, it's never going to go your way. It's never going to be a fairy tale, you know? So you're going to have to, you know, humble yourself and take that tryout, come out of your pocket. I think it's very important because you can never feel like you're too good for that, you know? If you don't do that, what happens, you know? You don't end up at Gotham. So in our conversation the other day, you bought something that I had never heard. And like I said, like I'm a fan looking in. So to me, it's an amazing league. To me, I see it, it's dope. I want to go to the games, like, you know, but you said that
as you should.
My entourage, I'm pulling up like Logan Paul, bro, trust me. But you said it's a glorified league. Even though you guys have grown, you know, you guys, you know, the conditions are not there for players, facilities, or for women's sports in general. So I kind of wanted to touch a little bit about that and what you said.
Yeah, I think that's something that is great to focus on. Like, I feel so split about it. There's the part that, like, if I look back to like what the 99ers group was, which is like really the first national team who really like paved the way for me to be playing soccer right now on a professional level and not having to have another job. Like that's so recent. So like I feel so grateful to that group of women who like didn't get paid, did the fucking things, like went through 2 leagues folding, you know, like they really went through real ass trials of like being effing broke and like having their love of the game push us forward. And that's sick. So like compared to what it has been very recently, the league is exploding. Like our marketing's going up, our facilities are going up, and the intention is there. Like 100%, the intention is there to like continue to build. So like we feel that. I feel that every day. On the flip side, there's like, we're not even close, in my opinion, to hitting the bare minimum of like what a male athlete would get, or what like any athlete, doesn't matter who, like needs to perform, you know? And that's where we talked about this. Like, I love that we're boosting the league in some ways, like how you saw like the marketing shit, like NBA outfits, and we have like our own little vibe with that now. I love that shit, but like I, personal puppy, don't like when the announcers are like making these stories about the league, how like everything's perfect. So when I watch games, it's like, oh yeah, and this and that, and it's all perfect. And then like we're in the environment getting 1 meal a week, you know, like not even a good meal. And it's like, okay, let's chill out. Like let's help it go forward, because in my opinion, like part of respecting those women that fucking dogged it all the way out for us and for the game of women's football, like we still got to be better.
Yeah.
And like, if you look at like a Megan Rapinoe or someone who's like rich as fuck, like getting money through this, she is still like so passionate about like, this has to be better, you know? And like, she's getting paid. So if someone who's like the richest, most iconic person right now is that like that passionate and advocating that much, like that's how you know it's truly an issue for all of us. And like, especially like national team girls are allocated by the national team, which means their salaries are paid by US Soccer, just by the national team only. So they're getting a decent amount of money. Everybody else, like you're getting like $22,000 ish a year. And like, that's not money. Like that's not livable money, you know, for a 12-month year. And like, you have to think like, we need to eat right. Like we need to have recovery tools. Like we need to be able to spend money on things for ourselves, like to help us even like be a great athlete. And those are things that bothered me when the league is being over glamorized. Like, I think we have to find a better balance of like, okay, yep, let's hype the league. Let's get people invested. Like, what's cool about this shit? Let's get people looking. But like, how can we also like continue to like raise the level of like, we're not hitting the bare minimum of what we need as athletes.
Man, preaching again. I agree with you. And I've been one of those people who have been sold the dream. Like, I'm like, oh, this league is dope. But again, it goes to America not taking care of the players, bro. Back to the college system. We don't take care of the players. There's money in this. And again, no one's opposed to making bread off this, but let's do it the right way. You know, owners throw money at an investing group, and then they try to sell seats. They glamorize it, like you say, but they don't. What about the players? What about the warriors that are going out there and risking their body? You guys are not getting paid. You guys are not getting the conditions. You guys are not getting the essential tools. And it's not just in women's soccer, it's in women's sports. Recently, we look at the NCAA in the gym. Yeah. Remember, that was a big issue. And it just shows that how far behind we are as far as like a nation, as far as equality. And we can do this hashtag this. And it's like, are we actually taking care of our players? You see all these big brands who have their campaign for Pride Month or Black Lives Matter, but like, come on, let's start at home, you know, let's start taking care of our players. So no, I'm glad you made me aware of that, because again, like what I said earlier at the podcast, I'm not familiar with this stuff, and there was no way I was ever gonna get, you know, where I be able to talk without talking to somebody like this, and just want to be educated on everything you're saying. It's like mind blowing, because as a soccer fan, it's just like I want to ask you about more, and I want to dive deeper into that. And I feel like there's some more we can go into, but I feel like we have to give people, you know, time to digest, and give me time to get better. And, you know, hopefully I can meet you one day and get it in person, you know? So I wanted to ask you before, you know, I let you go, about the future of the league of US Soccer, and a little bit of future of yourself. You know, clearly you have unreal dreams, and I love that you're dreaming big. So realistically, in the next 2-3 years, where do you see going as far as a player, as a person, as a baller?
All right. To take it with a grain of salt, because you never really know. Like 3 years is a lot of time in a career. So I think in the next 3 years, my biggest goal is two things. Like, what I've been working on is the ball being an extension of me. So like, if I can have such amazing connection with the ball that it's like my hand, like I can move the ball the way I move my hand on my foot. That's like my biggest goal, because one, soccer is way more fucking fun if you can sauce everybody. And two, like if you look like at a Messi or a Ronaldinho, like those players, the ball's under them all the time. It's on a string. And like, there's not many American players. I think Rose Lavelle does. I think Toby Heath does.
She's my favorite, bro.
Absolutely. She's sick. But like, there's not many American players, especially with my body and like my ability to be a brute, that can do that. So that's like my like technical goal next 3 years. In terms of like what I see realistic, I don't know, fuck realistic. Like shit happens all the time where like you're surprised, and I would love to start getting caps. Like within the 3rd year, I would love to start getting caps. That's how I feel about it.
I love it. Nah, I think that's realistic. I don't think that's too far-fetched for you. I don't think, with your confidence, your talent, how much you're improving your love, you know, I can definitely see that happening. Rock your jersey, you best believe.
Hell yeah.
How about for the league? Where do you see your
the
powerhouse?
NWSL, like I think we're blowing up. I think then like we're getting expansion teams every year. We're getting 2 next year in California. Like I'm stoked on where the NWSL is going. Like I said before, I hope that we continue to like raise the bare minimum of what we're getting. But like getting more teams in the league is a great sign. And I'm super excited like about where the NWSL is going. This is actually the longest league that's made it. We've had 2 previous leagues and they've both folded. So like it's a great sign that this league is like we're getting more viewership and more sponsorships going into deeper years than any other league has made it for women's soccer in the States. As a national team, I think we'll continue to dominate. Like it's a little cocky, but I truly feel that way. Like the standards are so high for our national team players that like I just can't see us really dipping anytime soon. We also like if you look at other countries, like we're saying Italy, like they do have less resources, and that Italy's still like a first world country. Like we're playing all sorts of countries, and some of them are third world countries, and you have to think like those women aren't getting exposed to half the shit that we are. So like if you look at it in terms of that, like we should be dominating. Like our national team has great resources and money funding them, so like we should be dominating. I'm very confident we will continue to dominate in that world.
Man, I love it because again, I'm a soccer fan. I love that we're gonna dominate in the women's soccer, man. But our side, I asked this question to all my guests, and they're like, "Bro, we don't know." So, like, you know, yes, the group we have now is good, but are we gonna be generationally good? And I feel women's soccer, we know your kids are gonna be good. Your kids' are gonna be good because
I feel like we've proven that, to be honest.
Man, and I feel like, but it's also. I feel like U.S. Women's soccer, I mean, just women's soccer in general has so much more to go, so much more to grow as an international, you know, sport. And, you know, you guys have other issues as far as like, you know, what's going on in your sports world. And it's dope that, you know, you're willing to come on and just share some of this just because I feel like there's people that want to hear this. Like I want to hear this, the people that, you know, there's like an audience for all this. So thank you for sharing all your knowledge. And this is, man, like so much to digest, so much that I got to get better at. But again, thank you for your time. Thank you for educating me. And let me tell you this, like, you're inspiring. You're dope. Like, I'm not telling you this, you know, as a person, but just as a soccer player. And I love this sport so much. So for me to hear you so hungry and to have such big goals, I'm like, fuck yeah, this is why I watch the sport. You know, this is the kind of players that I want to follow and they're in America. You're an American gem. You're an American success. So I want to give you your flowers and I want to wish you the best. I want to wish you the best. And I know you're going to do it. National team, Cutler on the back. Stop playing.
Let's go. Talk that talk. Thank you. I appreciate it.